Inravio.com.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson, and you're watching the 5-Off 5-On Racing Show. Welcome. Hope everybody had a good week. I know I did. It was all good. The weather here in Long Island was kind of horrendous today with the rain, but the merge to get here wasn't that bad, so I was able to make it on time. But anyway, busy weekend, especially on Saturday. I had the opportunity to go to a rally for the Long Island Needs a Drag Strip, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then I went to the opposite end of Long Island, went to Riverhead Raceway for the last points night, only my second time at the famed Long Island Quarter Mile. And I won primarily because my daughter's boyfriend, Vinny Delaney, had a shot at the championship in the INEX Legend Division. And when the final checker flag dropped, Vinny Delaney was the 2016 INEX Legend Champion at Riverhead Raceway. And I'll tell you what, I've been involved with teams that won championships. I've worked on cars, well, helped work on cars, I should say, with championship teams. And nobody really realizes the pressure that you get put under when you're in that position. And what do I mean by people say, oh, you won a championship, it's great. It is great, but you know, you get to a certain point where it's in sight, and you're like, you know you have a shot at it, and all of a sudden those nights in the garage, in the shop, in the driveway, wherever you work on your car, become more important. People now start coming forward because they want to be a part of that winning team. And the pressure that you get put under, you know some guys, they go out and they have to win. And I know, talking to Vinny Delaney, the driver, I know, talking with him a couple of times, even in his head, it got to the point where it was all about the points. Let's chase points. Let's chip away. And I know mid-season, it was a distant, wow, we have a shot. And as it got closer, he got it. And I'll tell you what, not being a part of the team, so to speak, but just watching the victory lane, because that's where they did the championship photos, watching that all come down, watching my daughter, the smiles on their face, and I even said to Vinny, like later on in the evening, did it hit you? Did it hit you yet? And he goes, not yet. And that's what happens. And a lot of guys that even won races, it doesn't hit them until like Tuesday or Wednesday of the week when they race over the weekend. And so again, congratulations to Vinny Delaney and his entire crew and all his sponsors that helped him out throughout the year. He is a guaranteed starter for the Legends National Race that'll be held at the New London Waterford Speed Bowl the second weekend in October. So congratulations. And also I want to congratulate Kenny Hyde Jr. on a fantastic championship run again. And I'll tell you what, his dad's looking down proud. And he worked hard, and he works hard on and off the racetrack, and he does whatever he has to do to make this happen. And he has a lot of people helping, but there isn't a lot of financial support back there. And he does what he has to do to make it happen. So again, my hats off to Kenny Hyde Jr. on his championship, and as well as my good buddy Dave Brigatti in the crate modified division, and all the other champions at the Long Island racetrack. Again, I really don't get involved with what goes on there or some of the teams. I do follow social media, but I got a couple of buddies that do run there, and it's nice to see them have successful seasons, and it's only going to get better. My other buddy, Roger Roxy, who's been a guest on our show, and he's been on our anniversary show a couple of years in a row, and a regular guest, and I still can't believe this guy drives all the way from upstate New York to be a part of this show. But Saturday night's late model race was the Mike Smokey Boken Memorial. And Smokey Boken, not only was Smokey a former figure eight driver, Smokey was also an official at the Riverhead Raceway. He was also an official on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. In fact, he was my roommate for a couple of years and travel partner whenever we had to go away to races. And we always had a good time. Smokey, unfortunately, had passed away. And this race was the Mike Smokey Boca Memorial for the late models. And Roger Roxy, with his closeness to Smokey, Smokey was a part of Roger's crew, helped on in the car. Smokey living out there in Cutchogue and Roger's shop, I believe, in Peconic, right next to each other out there in the north shore of Long Island on the North Fork. And Roger Roxy had a decal on the hood of his car in memory of Smokey. And he wanted to win this race more than anything. If there was ever a race that he was going to want to win, now you want to win them all, but this one was special. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, wasn't in the cards. He did finish in one piece, however, but and I was in Roger's trailer at the end of the race and throughout the evening. And again, I want to thank his crew and his sponsors for their hospitality with some good food and some good beverage. But you know, you could see there was dejection. You could see that he felt that he let people down, and he didn't. He did the best he could, and under the circumstances, you know, for those who've never raced a race car in 22 figure eight, you could probably attest to this. You know, you pick a line and you go for it on a start or a restart, and when that line doesn't go, you get freight trained. And at a track the size of Riverhead Raceway, with the late models and the tight competitiveness of the entire field, because in that division, any given driver could win on any given night. And you get freight trained and you go from, like, 5th to 11th. That's tough to make up. So pat on the back to Roger for his efforts. And it was Roger Roxy's last NASCAR points race. He does have a cone race this upcoming weekend. And you know, a long season, a long career is coming to an end. Some people say it isn't true, but we're going to have Roger on our show in the off season and see what the plans go, see if he still has a car, see if one of his boys are going to go on to race in the famed number 39. That was decorated and painted this year in retro colors going back to the Tommy Ryan days when Tommy Ryan built that car. So it was a good night at Riverhead. I had a good time and got to see some old friends and some old acquaintances. So it was good. And I know 22 Figure Eight's asking, what happened to Roger Maynor, figure eight driver, multi-time champion and the winningest figure eight driver on Long Island, I'd have to say. All I could say at 22 Figure Eight is due to the actions of his crew, and I'm not saying they were right, wrong, or indifferent, but due to the actions of the crew, they violated one of the most important rules that NASCAR put into place, is you don't go on the racetrack. And after a discussion with the officials and the promoters and the owners, they were just asked to leave. That's all I can really say about that here, but I can only tell you what I know for a fact. So I know social media had it on, and it was right on the money as to what I saw. In fact, somebody asked me in social media what happened. I answered, and one of the people involved answered and said that I was like 90% right, but I was not privy to the conversation that the team had with the promoters and owners. So enough said on that. It's a shame. Roger Maynor is like I said, a multi-time champion. He is the winningest figure eight driver on Long Island. There's not too many other places where they run figure eight stock cars to the level that we do here on Long Island, and nor does anybody have the longevity that Roger Maynor has had. In fact, I first met Roger Maynor at Ice of Speedway probably around 1978-79. He was on leave from the Navy. And his dad, Ernie the Wrench Maynor, who passed away in a crash at Ice of Speedway, Roger was just getting into racing. He was there racing that night when his dad passed. And so he's been around figure eight racing for over 40 years. That's a long time, 38, 39 years. So I hope whatever, yep, the Air Force, I hope whatever differences happened, I hope after a couple of weeks when things cool down, cooler heads will prevail, and they could sit down and discuss this, because to not see Roger Maynard in a figure-8 car would be a shame. He has awesome equipment. It's always immaculate, and I know 22 figure-8, you guys were kind of together back when, so it's a shame. You know, sometimes you get caught in the moment, and I used to be this way. You get caught up in the moment, then you look back as, why did I say that? Why did I do that? And you know, and I don't know if I would have reacted any different than his crew did. It was a racing incident during practice, and it was just one of those things. And again, enough said on what really happened. But you know, you're starting to see this in some racetracks, some of the short tracks across the country, where you got to throw people out. And I see Tracy Bethel is on. Tracy, welcome. And it's a hard thing to do, especially when you're struggling for cars, when you're struggling to get, you know, people in the races. You know, and as Mark Arute, the president and owner of Stafford Motor Speedway in Connecticut, says to me one time, he said, cars on the track equate to fannies in the seat. So you send a guy home, or you say, look, you're done this year, we'll see you next year. And you didn't just lose that one driver in that car. You lost that one driver in the car, his crew members, their significant others, whether it's their spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, and any fans who follow them. And I tried to figure it out once back in my Riverhead days, back in the late 90s, that for every car you lose 20 people. On average. Yeah, some guys, they just come from by themselves with their friend and they go, but some of them have a following. And it's a tough call to make. Now, years ago, when you had 150 race cars, 200 cars showing up at your racetrack, you know, you get rid of one. I call that addition by subtraction, because you got rid of that guy for doing crazy stuff. And there's a person who stopped racing because, well, they let him get away with stuff. So they stop coming. Now he's gone, they come back. So it's addition by subtraction. But today, you don't have full fields. You look at that. There aren't full fields in a lot of divisions and a lot of racetracks. And when I say full fields, 20 car minimums. That's a full field to me. 24 some run. But you know, even the touring series sometimes doesn't have a full field. And you know, you don't want to be sending people home and say they're banned for life. You tell them, go home, we'll talk about it during the week. And as Tracy Beth was saying, she's not saying it's the case in this situation, but sometimes people need to be thrown out, and I agree with that. And you know, one of the toughest things that I ever had to do as a race director, series chief steward, whatever title they gave me back then, is to assess the situation and say, I got to throw this guy out. Because you know what? Fines don't mean anything to some of these people. Think about this now. And I'm going to just pick a division at random at some track somewhere. The payoff to win is $125. A set of tires costs $600. 5 gallons of fuel costs you $50, $60. To get in, it was like $30, $40 plus your crew, so another couple of hundred to get in. So you just spent $1,000 to make $125. Bad business, if you ask me. But some people aren't racing as a business. They're racing because this is what we do, like going fishing, playing golf, going hunting. So to find somebody, they're going to pay that fine so easy. I fined a guy once $10,000 for rearranging my office. Let's just put it that way. And he was driving for a guy, he was a driver, and the car owner came in, wanted to know what the penalty was. I said, I don't know what the penalty is. I didn't talk to NASCAR. He goes, well, I need to know if I'm going to fix the car or not. I don't know. I won't know until I speak to NASCAR on Monday. Well, I need to know right now because my only day off is Sunday, and I got to do the car. I said, well, then, as it stands now, you're barred for life, and it's a $10,000 fine. The barred for life would probably end up being a 2-week suspension, but it's a $10,000 fine. Within 20 minutes, they walked in with a check from somebody that was at the racetrack that had a lot of money and liked them to cover that fine. Think about that. I mean, come on. But you know, it's a shame. But I didn't want to make this to talk about throwing people out and stuff. But that wasn't in my script today. But you know, you guys and gals asked, I had to answer. So, you know, it's just one of those things. And sending somebody home and is okay. So you got to do that sometimes. You got to say, hey, listen, tonight's not tonight. Go bowling tonight. Go before this gets any better, you know, worse. And I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been screamed at as an official, and I've screamed at officials in my lifetime. And you know what? Sometimes you're better off letting the dust settle, cool down, and chat later. And you know, from the competitive side of the fence, you want to know why did they make that call? What were they looking at? And this, that, and the other thing. And as an official, you don't want to really talk to that guy until they calm down. And the longer they wait, the madder they get. And then people start whispering in their ear, and they get worse. And then they start remembering, well, you know, 3 weeks ago, they let that guy do it. Well, you don't want to do that. And again, it's a tough decision made by the promoters with Roger Maynor. They do things a little bit different than what we're accustomed to. And Roger is not the first driver here on Long Island to be asked to never come back, and never is a long time. There's been a few. And some of them go find other racetracks. Some of them sit home and pout. Some of them go bowling. It's just a matter of that. But again, congratulations, not only to the guys, my buddies at Long Island's Riverhead Raceway, but to all the weekly short tracks across the country. Because NASCAR points, I believe, for the weekly racing series, the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series, I should say, ended Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. And a lot of the non-NASCAR tracks will be running for another couple of weeks, and they will be crowning their champions, at least on the track, before banquets come on. So anyway, we're going to take a break, and we come back. We'll come back with an interview that we took at the Himes Museum of Racing Nostalgia of a multi-time champion and former world champion of demolition derby racing, Mike Gravel Buxer, when we come back.
Guys, we're Scared No Fair, and we're here with Inravio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
Bethel Motor Speedway, racing at its finest. Are you ready for the excitement of racing at the legendary quarter-mile asphalt oval track of Bethel Motor Speedway? With speeds approaching 100 miles per hour? Yeah, we thought so. With stock car racing every Saturday night now through October 1st, and grandstand admission at only $8, there's nothing holding you back. Get to the Speedway and enjoy racing from the best divisions on asphalt. 4 cylinders, street stocks, pro stocks, bandoleros, dirt 358 and sportsman cars, legends, and modifieds. And it's fun for the whole family, with kids 5 and under admitted free. Visit BethelMotorspeedway.com for schedules, racing news, and lots more. Bethel Motor Speedway, 361 Horseshoe Lake Road in Swan Lake, New York, and at BethelMotorspeedway.com. Village Music Shop of Mastic, 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop. 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hey, welcome back. Yeah, during the break, I was just reading some of the chat room stuff. And 22 Figure Eights is, he had lots of battles with Kenny Hyde Sr. over the years. But afterwards, they'd always have a few cold ones, and they'd laugh it off. And I know I've probably said this story a bunch of times, but it's worth sharing again. Kenny Hyde Sr. and I, we didn't see eye to eye on or off the track, for that matter. And we would beat and bang each other, wreck our cars, fix them, come back, wreck some more. And then one night we not only did we wreck our cars, we wrecked half the field. Cost Bill Steen a championship that year. And it was bad. We got thrown out, we were fined. And the funny thing about it was our wives at the time were in the pit area having a grand old time, and we're stuck in the grandstands with our kids. But he was at one end of the track, I was at the other, because we still wanted to go at each other. And the suspension ends, comeback race, and I have that horrific wreck. In fact, September 1st of this year, was 20 years ago. And I was in the hospital, of course, and when I got home and was in my living room, because I couldn't get to any other part of my house because I was so mangled up, the first guy to knock on my door to come see if we need anything was Kenny Hyde. And I will never forget that. It was all good. So it's good to see his kid doing well and winning championships, not just a championship. He's winning championships. And that's all good, though. But again, congratulations to Kenny Jr. on that championship. And now we're going to go to the Hymes Museum, where we spoke with Mike Gravel Buxer. Here we go.
Inravio.com.
Another person walking around the Hymes Museum of Nostalgia, a guy that's banged around in a few places in life, a few racetracks. In fact, some guy that was like 90 years old outside said he remembers banging around with you. Mike Gravel Buxer. Mike, how you been?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Now, you're one of those unique guys that races / competes in demolition derbies.
Yep. I like to say, well, like Ricky Bobby used to say, if you ain't first, you're last. Well, if you're not last, you're first.
Now, what got you interested in demolition derbies as opposed to racing oval track?
I tried my hand at oval racing, and I come to the conclusion that I really sucked at driving around in a circle. So crashing just seemed to come natural. It was something I could do by myself. I didn't need a team. I didn't need, back when I was 17, 16, you're working pretty much by yourself in your parents' garage. So this is what I did, and this is how I started out.
Now you're saying that's probably like 40-something years ago.
37 years.
All right, so close to 40, huh? 37 years.
Let's not push the envelope.
Now, first time you go to a demo, what track was it?
My very first demolition derby was September 2nd, 1978 at White Lake Speedway.
Now, as you pulled through the gate at White Lake with your car in tow, ready to go crash them up, what was going through your head?
Well, first I drove the car into the track. We got lost getting there. We ended up in the middle of a cornfield. So when I drove the car into the track, the guy asked me where we came from, and we said Long Island. And he looked at the car and said, "You drove all the way from Long Island?" So I said, "Yeah, if you're going to make me look crazy, leave me alone." So it was very nervous. The first race, I still get butterflies and nerves and bounce around a little bit. So, but I figured if the day I stopped getting nervous, then it's time to hang it up.
Now, you have a couple of titles under your belt, your demolition derby racing.
1988 world champion, the track champion at the Lebanon Valley Speedway from 1992. I was second place at Wall Stadium. I was the track champion at Orange County Fair Speedway in 2007, I think it was. I won the Troy Fair Demolition Derby in Pennsylvania, which was 373 cars. I won Seekonk in 2008, which was 172 cars. This is going back when cars were plentiful and you know, you were able to go out and have some fun.
Favorite place that you ever demoed at?
That's a tough one. The place I got treated the best at was probably the Bloomsburg County Fair. Two of my favorite places to race were Freeport and Wall Stadium.
Biggest joy that you got out of Demolition Derby and
World Championship 1988.
toughest competitor?
Bob Dennison.
Wow. Okay. I was surprised at that answer.
No, it came down to me and him a couple of times, and two of the best races I ever drove in my life, I finished second to him. And one, it took us about a half an hour, just me and him, and my transmission blew and he won. And 2 weeks later it was World Championship, and same thing happened again. But I would have to put him at the top.
Very good. And, you know, we always have this debate of who won the last race at Ice Speedway. The sign said Bob Park. I think it was Tommy Kraft because the figure race went last. And you're saying
it was Bob Dennison. Then I listened to everybody's reasoning, and all right, if you want to be technical about it, the last modified race was Bob Park. The last stock car race was Tommy Kraft. The last event was, I think that was, Bob Dennison won the World Championship. Tom Kilkenny won the last race.
Inravio.com.
Mike Gravelbucks, I'll tell you what, I knew of him for a lot of years. He was the guy, you know, he was a wackadoo when he went demo racing back in the late 70s, early 80s. And I can remember, who's this guy? What the heck? And I remember, you know, seeing this guy come in, and across the whole side of his car it just said gravel. And I always thought he got the name because he would pulverize cars and make gravel out of them. So one day I said to him, I says, Mike, where do you get that name gravel? And we cut it from the interview, but so I'm going to say it here. So he was driving tow trucks, working in junkyards and whatnot. And he shows up, he was riding with this guy, Rocco. And when they pulled up to this junkyard, the guy goes, here's Rocco and Gravel. Now, Rocco and Gravel were from the Flintstones. And these two guys looked like them, acted like them, so the name stuck. And then I remember a period of time where Mike Gravelbucks wasn't doing demolition derbies, at least not on Long Island. And a lot of the demo guys, you know, Whiplash, the Mad Hatter, Long John Silver, you know, just to name a couple there, they painted on the car, where's Gravel? And finally Gravel came back. And then, you know, Gravel and I became really good friends when he signed on as an official here on Long Island with me. And he was one of our guys. And I can remember going to my first demo meeting, driver's meeting with him. You know, I'm the chief steward, he's in charge of the demos. And he's sitting there and he's going over, you know, do this, don't do that, you know, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden he goes, I remember, no cheese leakers. And I'm saying to myself, what the heck is a cheese leaker? So I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of everybody. You know, I don't know what this is. I'm like, that's right, there better not be no cheese leakers. Now the drivers dispersed, they go to their cars, and we kept them out in the parking lot. They weren't even allowed in the pits back then. So, and we're walking back to my office. I says, nice meeting, but I got to ask you a question. What's a cheese leaker? He goes, it's a guy that just rides around and just taps people. So he's getting in the action, and then at the end, when everybody's all mangled, then they start hitting. They call them cheese leakers. He couldn't explain where the name came from and how they demonstrated it. That's right, it was the wacky races. That's, you know, stuff that you see at the corner, right? That's what Rocky Gravel, they were the wacky races, Penelope Pit Stop and Dick Dastardly and that little dog Chumley who that funny laugh. But anyway, you know, when you look at those things back in those days, Mike became, I'm proud to say Mike became a friend. And, you know, I don't give out that term easy, you know, friend, and Mike is a true friend, and he knows why, and I think he's here in the chat room, but he knows why he became a good friend of mine, and you know, he's the type of guy that's always been there, always does the right thing, at least tries to. And the one thing that Mike and I have in common is there was a certain couple that owned a horror house and a racetrack, and they told us we didn't understand the race business when they were like giving like divisions with 40 cars off, you know, 2 weeks in a row and stuff like that. But anyway, we had some good times, and it was good to see Mike walking around the Hymes Museum that day, and it's always a pleasure to do things. And Jay Slice, he is a good guy. He's one of the good guys. There aren't a lot of good guys left in racing. You know, like somebody said in earlier shows years back, that we're missing, I think it was 22 figure out, we're missing characters. Mike Gravel Buxton was a character. He was a character. And we're missing those guys. We need to bring them back. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and we come back. We will talk about the results of what went on in Bethel this past weekend and some other stuff in the racing world when we come back.
Hi, my name is Aaron from Real Big Fish,
And I'm Ed from Real Big Fish.
and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
Numbers Willie. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you get punched in the. But if you have this bracelet from Inravio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
Bethel Motor Speedway, racing at its finest. Are you ready for the excitement of racing at the legendary quarter-mile asphalt oval track of Bethel Motor Speedway with speeds approaching 100 miles per hour? Yeah, we thought so. With stock car racing every Saturday night now through October 1st and grandstand admission at only $8, there's nothing holding you back. Get to the Speedway and enjoy racing from the best divisions on asphalt. 4 cylinders, street stocks, pro stocks, bandoleros, dirt 358 and sportsman cars, legends, and modifieds. And it's fun for the whole family, with kids 5 and under admitted free. Visit BethelMotorspeedway.com for schedules, racing news, and lots more. Bethel Motor Speedway, 361 Horseshoe Lake Road in Swan Lake, New York, and at BethelMotorspeedway.com. For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Welcome back. You know, just saw something in the chat room. It's funny, I kind of look and see things a little more clearer when we're on break. And I had seen this or heard this somewhere else that there is rumor that Mike Gravel Buxa will be at the Championship Demolition Derby race upcoming here on Long Island. And it should be interesting. My favorite demo car that Mike had was his old Imperials. And I'm not sure if they were blue or not, because he went through this name like Imperial Blues for a little while. So it'll be good to see Gravel in a demo. And I'll tell you what, you know, we could talk some good stories. We had some good times. We had some good times. And if you ever see Mike Gravel Buxa bouncing around the pit area, whether it's here on Long Island, upstate New York, or wherever it may be, ask him about the soup. The maggot soup that we had and what we did to the people at our table. Anyway, Bethel Motor Speedway, upstate New York, their results are in, and I thank Tracy for providing those with us. So here we go with that. In the Bethel modified results, John Coate was the winner, followed Obi Konakowski, I hope I said that right. Skip LaPolte was third, Rob Rafferty fourth, Steve Galgano fifth, and Joe DeGracia was sixth. In the 358 Sportsman Division, Kyle Redner was the winner there, followed by Paul Martin, with Mike Dutka third, Jeff Richardson was fourth, Eric Moon fifth, Greg Morgan sixth, Roy Capresco seventh, Milton Mann eighth, Larry O'Donnell ninth, and Kimberly Morgan rounding out the top 10. In the Legends, Gillian Kilpatrick was the winner there, followed by Joe Graff. Richie Coy was third, Stephen Hersey was fourth, Mikey Policatro was fifth, Josh Marchese was sixth, Jeff LaCourte was seventh, Josh Stark eighth, Lars McElray was ninth, and Mark Foster was 10th. In the Bandolero results, Garrett Zacharias was first, Sean Verais was second, Anthony Bello third, Mike Roth fourth, Teddy Cranmer fifth, Joey Ungst sixth, Connor Pizecki was seventh, and Josh Stug was eighth. The street stock results went like this: Gary Van Orden first, followed by John Hetchinger second, Amber Van Orden was third, Kyle Welsh fourth, Arthur MacArthur fifth, Philip Fouchion sixth, Walt Henry seventh, Jessica Ritchie eighth, Patty Valkina ninth, and John Hager rounding out the top 10 there. In the four-cylinder advance, Brian Burrifind was first, Tasha Curry second, Mikey Travis third, Cody Hufteling was fourth, Tim Curry fifth, Jerry Kingeter sixth, and Les Quick Jr. was seventh. That's it from Bethel Motor Speedway. Again, a big thank you to Tracy Chirico and her help and acting as a marketing partner for the 505 on Racing Show at the Inravio TV network. Always a pleasure going up to Bethel. I think we plan on going up to Bethel the end of October. There's a rumor there's going to be an event that we might want to go to. In fact, if this event is what I think it is, I might have to, for at least one event, put the microphone to the side and put the helmet and the suit on and go play. We'll have some more details on that as we get closer. But yes, Doodle Dumpling, you must have heard the story. It was maggot soup. And I'm going to tell this little story. We're at this very nice restaurant. It's no longer in operation. The LaGrange Inn in West Leipzig. It goes back, I'm going to say almost 20 years ago. And we're sitting there, and it was Mike Gravel, his wife, myself, and my wife, our buddy Hank, who was a gate guy for me in my years there at Riverhead. And here we're sitting there, and some of this, and the food was awesome, don't get me wrong, it was great food. But the folks that were at this dinner, the officials' dinner, they would have been happier with pizza or hot dogs and hamburgers. Just saying. I'm not putting anybody down, but everybody likes their thing. So this soup comes, and they serve this soup, and on my bowl, there was a thing hanging over the side. And I'm like, what is this? And I didn't know what it was, you know. I at that time, I only ate like vegetable soup. And I said, and my buddy Hank says, that thing on the side looks like a maggot. So Mike takes his bowl in his hand, and he takes a big spoon, and he chugs it down, he's chewing. He goes, they're maggots, all right. Well, half the people at the table couldn't finish their meal, and we've laughed about this forever. So, like I said, Mike and I, we have some good times. We go racing together sometimes, and yes, I did. Last time I saw him at a racetrack was at the Bethel Motor Speedway. And big Islander fan, as Jay Slice said, Mike had the Islanders logo on his race car and parked outside the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Uniondale, Long Island. So it was always good. Mike always did the right thing for sponsors and people all along. And you know, he always did the right thing. So I'm proud to call him friend, and I know I said that before. I'm going to say it again. But anyway, Kevin Basic, Long Island Need for Speed. Again, thanks for tuning in. He's got his old time modified, and they ran it up at Mahoning Valley, and they had a good time with it. It ran pretty good, from what I understand. So, that was a long time coming, doing that deal. It was just tough. You got to understand, Kevin was working with limited funds, limited help, finding a place to do it, then trying, once it's done, how do you get it there? He didn't have a truck and trailer, and he got a lot of help from a lot of people. And the car looks awesome. The car came out great. So again, my hats off to my buddy Kevin Basic and from Long Island Need for Speed for putting that, as he called it, Project Modified. And it took a little longer than he had wanted it, but you know what? It was worth the wait. It looks good. It runs good. And I think that car could be competitive. Be competitive. Maybe not with a tour mod, but with a weekly mod at any track that runs tour modified or tour type modified. So again, congratulations, Kevin. You did a nice job with that. Anyway, what else we got going on in racing? It was announced last Friday morning, 18-year-old Cole Custer, Camping World Truck Series driver, will move up to drive for Stewart Haas Racing in the Xfinity Series in 2017. Cole Custer, that's a good move for him, and Stewart Haas Racing is going to be making some changes. You watch and see. Richard Petty Motorsports announced a new crew chief, Eric Almirola, in the 43 car. Richard Motorsports announced that Drew Blinkensderfer, man, that's a lot of consonants, will replace the current crew chief. And I'll tell you what, Richard Petty Motorsports has had a very disappointing season. And when I say that, they were not going to be happy finishing in the top 25, top 30 like they ended up. They were looking to make the chase. And they had the equipment, they had everything in place, and they just had some disappointing finishes, got caught up in some tough luck. And it's going to be interesting to see what other changes are going to be in store at Richard Petty Motorsports in the off season, if not before. A crew chief change, I think, is long overdue. There were some decisions made on that team that just didn't happen. I mean, let's face it, Richard Petty is going to be 80 years old. Richard Petty is not up on all the new technology. When he was building in race cars and winning all those races, they didn't have lasers. They had a tape measure, string, chalk. That's how they did things. And now everything's in a laser. I mean, it's just a whole different ballgame. So you have to have people that are into this, that know the modern technology. And I think Richard Petty Motorsports has taken that step with Drew coming on as crew chief. He has been a part of Richard Petty Motorsports for quite some time now, so he's no stranger to the organization. So it's all good. And also, and Tracy Bethel beat me to the punch here, Daniel Hemrick will be moving up to the Xfinity Series in 2017, driving for Richard Childress Racing. Hemrick currently is a Camping World Truck Series driver owned by Brad Keselowski. He signed Saturday a 3-year deal with Richard Childress Racing. And Hemrick right now is second in the Camping World Truck Series points. And I first met Daniel in a modified tour race like 4 or 5 years ago. And it might even been longer than that. In fact, it was longer than that because the powers to be that handled scoring and tech at the time were this little group from New Jersey. And for some reason, they didn't like this guy. And they wanted him to not race with us. And looking back, I'm thinking that he was just that good. And they didn't want to. And I said, just in watching him, I said, this guy's going to, with the right brakes, he's going to go places. And here he is. He's second in the Truck Series points, and he's got a ride in the Xfinity. So, and as Tracy Bethel says, and wishing him congratulations, Hemrick won 3 Legend Stock races at Bethel. And I'll tell you what, Legend Stock events at Bethel Motor Speedway are big. They're big. And it's like the old World Championship figure 8 races at ISIS Speedway. It was that big. And I wish Daniel Hemrick a lot of luck and success and continued success, because he's going to make it happen. he's definitely going to make it happen. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and we come back. We'll have the results from Chicagoland Speedway in Chicago when we come back.
Hi there, this is Buddy from Less Than Jake, and you are listening to Inravio TV. You're probably watching it too.
Hey, this is Chris Less Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Bethel Motor Speedway, racing at its finest. Are you ready for the excitement of racing at the legendary quarter-mile asphalt oval track of Bethel Motor Speedway? With speeds approaching 100 miles per hour? Yeah, we thought so. With stock car racing every Saturday night now through October 1st, and grandstand admission at only $8, there's nothing holding you back. Get to the Speedway and enjoy racing from the best divisions on asphalt. 4 cylinders, street stocks, pro stocks, bandoleros, dirt 358 and sportsman cars, legends, and modifieds. And it's fun for the whole family, with kids 5 and under admitted free. Visit BethelMotorspeedway.com for schedules, racing news, and lots more. Bethel Motor Speedway, 361 Horseshoe Lake Road in Swan Lake, New York, and at BethelMotorspeedway.com. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Hey, this weekend I said I was going to talk about this. I almost forgot. I had the opportunity to go to a rally at Tanner Park. It's a park on the South Shore of Long Island in Copiague. And it was for the Long Island Needs a Drag Strip. Over 200 cars, I should say, were in attendance, and well over 1,000 people, many of which, when I say many of which, were wearing these white, bright shirts that says Long Island Needs a Drag Strip, and on the back it had all the companies that were involved with trying to make this happen. And there were a lot of people there that tried to make this happen, a lot of people, and it was good to see United States Congressman Lee Zeldin there, and he gave a nice talk that I was a part of, and also New York State Assemblyman Dean Murray. Very supportive of this, very supportive. And in talking to them offline, I was just, any possibilities of where this is going to go? And they do. They do have sites. They did what they call a site locator to see where it could go. And they're not going to say where, because let's just say they say it's going to be, I don't know, they're going to close 231 in Babylon and make that the drag strip. Well, everybody in Babylon will be up in arms. Or if they said they were going to make a new highway behind the Republic Airport in Farmingdale, people will be up in arms. So they're not going to say where it's going to go until everything is in place. But, and it is a couple of years down the road, but I know there's a lot of detractors out there. It's not going to happen. What do you waste your time for? Let me tell you something. And build it and they will come. Find a place for it and it'll be built. Long Island needs a drag strip. Long Island needs racing. And just like everywhere else, if these guys don't have a place to race, two things could happen. One, they're going to take their hard-earned money off of Long Island, and as Dean Murray said, they're going to give money to other states, hotels out of states, restaurants out of state. They need to keep that money here, and hopefully those people that are in those other states with a real class facility will come here and compete. Secondly, there's too many kids getting killed drag racing on places like Southern State Parkway, the Conduit by the Kennedy Airport, Edison Avenue in West Babylon, Deer Park Avenue in North Babylon, William Floyd Parkway out in Ridge. Too many people are getting hurt. And what happens is they have these wrecks on the streets and everybody scatters. And maybe the guy's buddy or whatever will try to help him, but if they had an organized place to race and drag race, medical people would be there, sanctioning body rules would take effect, certain safety things would have to be in place. Like I said, there were over 1,000 people here. And as one guy said, these are just the people that came today. We vote. We want a person that's in there to help us make this happen. And Congressman Lee Zeldin, he's trying to get other members of Congress in New York to help push this along. John Cazale is one of those guys. He's given up his own racing career, so to speak, to make this happen. He's been a guest on our show a couple of times. Again, we had a great time talking with everybody and looking. If you check our Facebook page, you'll see some footage of the event. You'll see what Lee Zeldin had to say in regards to the drag strip. And they're not just looking to put a drag strip, they're looking to put a road course, a multi-purpose facility like we tried to make 10 years ago on Long Island. And you get that, oh, not in my backyard, not in my backyard. In both places that we were looking to build our facility, which included a drag strip, there was other plans for it. Affordable housing was going in Yaphank. We couldn't have the land. There was a whole big thing. And we got beat out in Calverton for a ski slope that never got built. They were bankrupt before they opened the gate to even start working. It was all insider stuff. Now, they're going to take baby steps here. The Long Island Planning Board is on board because they realize that auto racing is a viable business, and auto racing brings in revenues, not only in the form of tax revenues, but it puts people to work, not just at the facility. It opens up speed shops, parts shops, restaurants get busier, the gas stations in the area get busier. Every small little mom and pop business will realize additional revenues, and additional revenues for businesses on Long Island equate to additional tax dollars for your county, your state. Therefore, if they're making enough money in tax revenues, maybe our taxes won't go up every year. We're so quick to say, oh, no, we can't do that, nope. I happened to be at the Silver Lake Cookie Company not too long ago, and that was built on the backstretch of ISIS Speedway. And there was a guy walking his dog, an older guy. So I go up to him and I say to him, what do you think, how long have you been in here? He goes, oh, I've been living here since the 70s. I said, you one of those people that fought the racetrack? He goes, yeah, and I made a mistake. He goes, kid, you ever hear that expression, be careful what you wish for? And I said, oh, yeah. And he said, we hadn't had to put up with 20 to 25 Saturday nights a year of the noise and the crowds. This cookie factory goes 24/7. They get the deliveries in the middle of the night, and we should have kept it a racetrack. And, like he said, be careful what you wish for. We need to bring that back. We need to bring racing back to Long Island. Long Island was the hotbed of auto racing for many, many years. And as Lee Zeldin said, Long Island, the first race ever held in the United States, was held on Long Island. The first race. The first racetrack ever built exclusively for racing was on Long Island. Vanderbilt Motor Parkway. That was the first racetrack. They were racing these cars here over 100 years ago. And so you know what? You see a guy driving down the road with a Long Island Needs a Drag Strip sticker. You see a guy driving down the road with the big stickers that says Long Island Needs a Drag Strip. Toot your horn, give a wave, give them a thumbs up. Get involved. Go to their Facebook page. Their Facebook page has over 12,000 members. 12,000 members. So it was a good day. And check our Facebook page of Inravio, 505 on. You'll see the Lee Zeldin talk, and I'm sure we'll have some spots on future shows as well. But anyway, at Chicagoland Speedway, the Camping World Truck Series was there. Kyle Busch was the winner there, followed by Daniel Hemrick. Cameron Haley was third. Christopher Bell was fourth. Johnny Sorda fifth, followed by Grant Enfinger. Then Spencer Gallagher seventh. Timothy Peters eighth. Cole Custer ninth. And Tyler Reddick rounding out the top 10. Their chase is about to begin. Their grid looks like this. William Byron, Matt Crofton, John Hunter Nemechek, Christopher Bell, Johnny Sorda, Ben Kennedy, Daniel Hemrick, and Timothy Peters. 2 to be eliminated in the first round after races in New Hampshire, which is this week, Las Vegas, and Talladega. So that'll be interesting to see how that pans out. So they took 8 into their chase. The Xfinity Series was also at Chicagoland's in Chicago, and Eric Jones was the winner there, followed by Kyle Larson, Elliott Sadler third, Daniel Suarez fourth, Justin Allgaier fifth, Clinton Boyer sixth, Joey Logano seventh, Brandon Gaughan was eighth, right? Paul Menard ninth, and Brandon Zones rounding out the top 10. Kentucky will be the first event in the Xfinity Chase. That'll be this weekend. And the chase in the Xfinity Series has 12 drivers in it. Eric Jones, Elliott Sadler, Daniel Suarez, Ty Dillon, Justin Allgaier, Darrell Wallace Jr., Brendan Gaughan, Brennan Poole, Ryan Sieg, Ryan Reed, Brandon Jones, and Blake Koch. So 4 will be eliminated after Kentucky, Dover, and Charlotte. In the Sprint Cup Series, they were also at Chicagoland and will be heading to New Hampshire. Martin Truex Jr. was the winner there, followed by Joey Logano, Chase Elliott third, Ryan Blaney was fourth, Brad Keselowski was fifth, Denny Hamlin sixth, Casey Kane seventh, Kyle Busch eighth, Matt Kenseth ninth, Alex Bowman rounding out the top 10. The 16 chasers, with that being the first race of the chases, the points after one is Truex Jr. was first, followed by Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch third. In the points there, Denny Hamlin fourth, Joey Logano fifth, Chase Elliott sixth, Matt Kenseth was seventh, I should say. Jimmy Johnson eighth, Carl Edwards ninth, Kurt Busch 10th, Jamie McMurray 11th, Tony Stewart 12th, Austin Dillon 13th, Kevin Harvick 14th, Kyle Larson 15th, and Chris Buescher 16th. 4 will be eliminated after the Dover race. It'll be so the next phase was Chicagoland, which was just held, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and Dover International Raceway. A win automatically puts a driver automatically in the next round. Yes. In an exclusive interview with FoxSports.com, NASCAR chairman Brian France said NASCAR would like to have another auto manufacturer in the Sprint Cup Series. He did not name any of the participants or makes and models, but I'll tell you what, who's left? Nissan, Chrysler, Volkswagen, we shall see. It should be interesting. And also in Chicagoland, the 78 Toyota of race winner Martin Truex Jr. and the 48 car of Jimmy Johnson both failed post-race inspection this past Sunday at the Chicagoland Speedway. Both failed the LIS, which is the laser inspection system. Penalties will be announced tomorrow. Previous LIS violations have been either 10 or 15-point penalties for the driver and the owner, and anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 in fines for the crew chief. Now, considering that Martin Truex with a win is a lock into the next round, the points that he's going to lose will not really hurt him. However, to lose 10 or 15 points for Jimmy Johnson, that could make a difference of making the next round or not. So he would have to definitely get a win in there. So, and it was only off by hundreds. And I'll tell you what, the 78 team of Martin Truex Jr. felt that a hit that they got from the 4-car, Harvick, not an intentional hit, they just hit, knocked the rear a little bit. They were off by, believe it or not, 1/100th of an inch. That's nothing. But when you go into these lasers, it's got to be right on. And I'll tell you what, it's just the way NASCAR's doing things today. Technology at its finest. Anyway, I believe we got to wrap up now, so we're going to wrap this up. So wherever your endeavors are going to bring you this weekend, we got the New Hampshire coming up. The NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour will be at New Hampshire. And the Sprint Cup, of course, it's a busy weekend. The K&M Pro Series as well. So if you're going to head up to New Hampshire from wherever, please be careful. And wherever your endeavors are going to bring you this week to go racing or not go racing, please be safe. Please be careful. Tell somebody you love them. Give them a hug. God bless you all, and we'll see you next week. Good night.